Here's something that I've known for a while that really hit me recently. If you were raised in a narcissistic family dynamic like I was, and you have come to the point where you're like, I just need to be no contact with particularly your parental units, there's going to be a couple of things that are going to happen there. First off, you've likely tried a lot to try to salvage the relationship. There's going to be a time where you realize you have this aha moment of, oh, it's never going to change. They are never going to validate my feelings. They are never going to love me the way in which they should love me as their child. They're never going to respect my boundaries. There's just not going to be a moment where our relationship is going to rise from the ashes of all this like destruction that has happened. And now all of a sudden we're going to have these, this beautiful moment together where now we're going to have a great relationship. That's never going to happen. And just to give you sort of like an idea of how this has played out in my life, about 15 years ago was the first time I went no contact with my mother. She was very destructive in a very vulnerable moment that I was having, and it was just, there could be no more communication that was happening. And I had longed for a long time for those 6 or so years that I was no contact with her of maybe there'll be this moment where we will rise from the ashes and have this great relationship. We did eventually get back together. We had a conversation. I thought it was a very healthy conversation. She told me she was in therapy. She told me she was working on all these issues. I come to find out later that she told me everything that I needed to hear in that conversation just so that I would be back in her life. None of it was truthful. Needless to say, a couple of years went by and it was one destructive conversation or event after the next. So it got to the point where I had to go no contact with her again. Now, I do also have a toxic father as well. He definitely is very codependent on both my narcissistic mother and my narcissistic brother. Because of that, that's put an incredible strain on our relationship. I've hoped so deeply that he would just sort of snap out of it and we would be able to have more fruitful conversations and have a more caring and loving relationship. What really stinks about when you have parental units that are like this is that they will occasionally trickle something right in front of you and then immediately pull it away. You still get fooled. You get tricked into thinking, oh, this is going to be better now. And it never is. And this just happened to me this week. It's been about a year since I've spoken with my father, and he texted me earlier this week. The text was something to the effect of, I'm having some health issues right now. I love you. I think of you every day. And that was pretty much it. And I sat there and I looked at that text for a day and I was like, I'm trying to figure out exactly what he's trying to communicate. Is he apologizing? Is he trying to open up a conversation? Is he just trying to get a response from me? Like I can't figure out the objective here. So I texted him back and I was like, hey, sorry to hear you're having all these health issues, basically. I'm not sure what the objective of your text was. Are you trying to open up a dialogue with me again? And I said, I could tentatively, cautiously be open to having a conversation with you. And no response. And I even told my husband when I sent that text to him, I was like, I'm not expecting a response because I'm just so conditioned to not getting a response from my father. But I had hope, like way down inside of me. I was like, maybe this is the start of him snapping out of it and realizing that he has been controlled and manipulated by these narcissists, and he wants to come back together and, have a good, healthy relationship again. No response at all whatsoever. When you get those little breadcrumbs of contact where it feels love and affection, he's telling me he loves me, he thinks of me every day, you really, really, truly hope that something has changed. But then what you come to realize is it will never change. This is why adult children go no contact with their parents. It's not because of a petty thing like, oh, they didn't like buy me a pony or something like that, or like they grounded me or whatever. Like, it's not petty things that we're holding against our parents. It's true lack of emotional maturity showing up for the relationship. It's like they're completely not there, or if they are there, they're going to be toxic. I'm convinced that the text that he sent to me was only meant to be self-serving. He wanted to know that he told me that he loved me and thinks of me every day. And that's it. He did not want a relationship. He didn't want to talk about it. He's not interested in hearing my thoughts on the matter at all. He's not interested in apologies. Like he just wants to put it out there to make him feel better because he's going through some health issues, and I'm sure he's, having some thoughts about what the end of his life is going to look like. He wants to make himself feel comfortable, but it has nothing to do with me. It has absolutely nothing to do with me. This is why adult children go no contact with their parents.